Hello, everybody, and welcome to this special full moon edition of the Vedic Lunar Scope for the full moon in Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra, which takes place on the 25th of September if you're in the UK or further on in Europe at about 4 a.m. London time. And if you're in the States, you're going to find that this particular full moon takes place on the 24th of September. So fact of the matter is you've had just about enough of a particular situation, and it's becoming clearer with every single day that this feels like it's something that can't continue. After all, you've tried, and as you try, you're finding that it's all kind of falling apart. Bits and pieces are breaking off, leaving you like dealing with the rubble and dealing with the rubbish, and for lack of a better way to put it, getting the shovel out and shoveling the SH1 beep over your shoulder, right? And that's a heavy load to deal with. And as you're dealing with that load, it feels burdensome. Ultimately, it feels more confusing. You question your space in this situation. Right? One part of you feels a responsibility as if it needs to stay here, but the longer you stay in it, the more things begin to feel unsettled, and you feel like taking action, but the moment you consider taking that action, all of a sudden you find yourself on the brink, and then you kind of hold back and you back off. Whoa, I just went out of focus at the moment. You back off and you find yourself not doing the very thing that your mind is telling you that it needs to do. You're not feeling nourished by the situation that you're in, so you're ready to make a change, and you're feeling pretty firmly that that is something that you have to do, right? You could commit yourself fully to this situation, but in doing that, you're going to be making a lot of sacrifices. Are these sacrifices that you really want to make? Are you making these sacrifices to support a situation that really is on its last leg? And if you support it further, is it going to do more difficulty to that situation? I mean, what good is it going to do just kind of putting a Band-Aid, or here as we call it in the UK, a sticking plaster solution on the situation? It's not. It's going to momentarily fix it so that in another moment it can fall apart. And so the confusion that you're dealing with at present is how to begin to take action, to begin to shift a situation that ultimately you know is going to fall apart anyway. Do you take really powerful, firm, strong action now and just break it all apart? Or should you be a little more patient with the situation? Take all those feelings that are surfacing within you, just kind of stifle them, put them in a certain place, just, like man up to the situation, or as people like to say, well, that's never a healthy approach. That's never a healthy approach, never, right? Because what's going to happen is eventually all those emotions that you're squashing beneath the surface, they're going to come back to the surface anyway. And when they come to the surface, they're likely going to come to the surface in a very intense manner. And that potential is definitely there now through the early part of October as Ketu and Mars are closing in on a conjunction with each other, right? Our sensitivities are running the potential of being kind of stimulated, and anything that even slightly bothers us can be triggered. And so you're likely finding yourself in a situation where you feel like you've done a lot to really try to make something different happen. You've done a lot to really try to create something, and you feel that something has to change soon. But the problem is there's a lack of strength, a lack of confidence, and a lack of self-assuredness that makes you feel that were you to take the steps, that would ultimately move this situation into a new phase, so to speak. That number one, would that be the right noble thing to do? Or would that be something that would come back and smack you on the you know what later on, right? You can't be absolutely 100% certain about everything, okay? The factors tend to show, because you've got an interaction with this full moon between Saturn and equally with the sun, which is in close proximity to Mercury. Both the sun and Mercury are in Hasta Nakshatra. That's kind of giving this impetus to like really take charge of the situation and do something about it. But the sun is weak at the moment, and because the sun's weak, it's giving you a lack of confidence. And then you've got the whole K2 Mars thing in the equation going on, which is making you have all these heroic visions of this really wonderful way to break through this problem, but not really having the extra final push to push beyond it. And so instead, what you're finding going on is this buildup of pressure, release, buildup of pressure, release, right? Saturn is actually providing an anchor during all this. And as we know, Saturn moves slowly. There are a few pieces of the puzzle that have yet to fall into place. The fact of the matter is, though, the energy at the moment is so tense, it's so powerful, it's so extremely uneasy and unsettling that it makes it hard to sit with this moment for another moment longer, right? But I guess the next question is, do you really feel that you have a choice? Well, you do have a choice. You do have a choice. You could, go with that, passion, take some really strong, explosive action. But really, with the energies that are there, it's not really saying that that's going to be the best thing to do. It's saying to be aware of the situation. As bits and pieces seem to kind of be falling apart, look at what lies beneath the surface, right? Things are not falling apart in as much as something else is coming together, and it needs a little more time to come together. And yes, this tension is uneasy, but it's very necessary because there's been, a structure, I want to use the phrase, a structure that's been in place for too long. And because that structure has been in place for so long, think of an old house. Yeah, that's what I want to use. I want to use that analogy. Think of an old house and think of an old stone house. It's very solid outside, but it's been through all the ages, and all this damp has formed inside of the walls, and inside it's rotting, right? So it may seem like it's really strong and powerful, but inside it's rotting, okay? And so the structure is solid. It's not going to break apart easy, but it's falling apart from the inside out. And because you're likely dealing with a scenario that's very similar to that, it's creating this buildup of tension that's really been building up for a long period of time. It's been going on for a while. But, sure, you can bring a wrecking ball in and knock that thing down all in one go, right? But that's not going to be the solution. Okay, the solution is letting the situation that you're dealing with, as it is apparently falling apart, be willing to let it fall apart. Let it fall apart as the situation deteriorates. Look at the steps that you need to take. Look at the initiative you need to take, one step at a time, not one big fell swoop. As little bits and pieces are breaking off, let's use that house analogy. Well, let's say a brick falls away. You notice something inside of that wall, right? You notice that maybe one section of the house was solid when a brick falls away from it. It's just the outer brick that falls away. And so you may have a structure to build something new upon. And maybe you don't need to knock that entire house down. Maybe you just need to get rid of one wing of that house, right, that is no longer healthy, and build something else that is healthy. right? So taking a wrecking ball to your situation right now doesn't really seem like the appropriate approach. It seems like what is really needed at this moment is a one step at a time approach. And as the tension rises to the surface, let it release. As it releases, look at what prompted it. When you look beneath the surface of what prompted that tension in the first place, some clarity is going to come. That clarity can lead you in the right direction towards the steps that you need to take next, right? Fact of the matter is, I want to use the word revelations are happening in your life, my life, and everybody's life at an exceptionally accelerated pace at the moment, with all of these astrological energies that are prevalent. And you need to be firm in your recognition that, yes, a change needs to occur. You need to be firm in your recognition that, yes, you do deserve something better in your life, but you also need to be solid inside of yourself in order to make these necessary changes. That hasn't come into place yet. It is coming into place slowly but surely. Let it happen at its own pace. And understand that you do have the time at the moment to take the time. In about another, 2 weeks, I had to look down at my calendar to see when. In about another 2 weeks' time, Venus is going to station, and it's going to be going retrograde for several weeks, which is an excellent time to reflect back over your values, to reflect about what your intentions are, to reflect about how some things that you intended well with may have brought some difficulty into your life, and look at how you may be able to behave in a much wiser manner. So this full moon is bringing a lot of this energy to the surface, but it's going to be followed in a couple of weeks' time by a period of time that helps you to reassess your situation. So take that time and use it wisely. If you could use a little bit of help with your specific situation, a little bit of guidance, please do feel free to schedule an astrological service with me through the astrological services page of my website. If you're interested in doing so, you can through the link above. That's going to do it for this look moon. That's going to do it for this look moon. That's going to do it for this look at the full moon in Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra. Tongue twisters and all, on the 24th, I should say, and 25th of September 2018. Until next time, please do take the very best care of yourself. Bye now.